Hey everybody, so today I want to talk about some changes I want to see coming to Untamed going into End of Dragons. So I'm pretty sure that we're going to be seeing changes going into End of Dragons, I would think, for the Elite specs, just like we saw with Beta 4. I would really hope that this would get announced on the final live stream in 10 days. I really fucking hope so, because I do really want to see some changes for the Elite specs. Just make them better in PvE environments because right now a lot of them are kind of lacking. The first thing here I want to see is just a pet damage bonus whenever the pet is unleashed. This was supposed to be a little bit of like a pet elite spec. It was supposed to focus more on the pet, and so far it's really done none of that at all. It's not really done much to the pet. So I would like to see some sort of damage bonus while it is in unleashed mode. Sort of similar to how we get a damage bonus whenever we're in unleashed mode. I would like to see some pretty big bonus to their damage whenever they're unleashed. Obviously, it's probably not going to be as much damage as Mechanist, but I would like to see more damage on the pet. Because right now, as it stands, the only reason to go into Unleashed mode for the pet is to just use the three abilities and then go back immediately to be able to use your ambush skill. So I would like to see a little bit more of a reason to keep your pet unleashed for a little bit and get some damage in there would be kind of nice. As well as, kind of allowing you, especially like open world environments, to just kind of keep your pet unleashed most of the time is something that I would like to personally have because, that defense toggle is super nice for open world. Taking less damage as well as hopefully having your pet do more damage would be super fucking awesome. I'd really like to see that. Number two is just straight up more damage. I think Untamed desperately needs to just do higher damage in PvE. Considering Soul Beast is a thing. Right now, as it stands, Untamed, based on the power benchmarks, is doing about 28 to 29,000 damage per second, which honestly isn't as bad as people are saying it is. Like, it's really not bad at all. If you look at, like what people do in raids, it's typically, 23, 24,000 damage per second. Obviously it's like, based on what I've seen in raids at least. And so obviously, it's against the Golem. It's basically a perfect scenario, but I would personally like to see some sort of damage buff for Untamed. Not just to the hammer. I would like to see, perhaps the Ferocious Symbiosis trait get buffed, or Vow of the Untamed damage bonus for yourself get buffed, or something like that, or the damage gets straight up increased. I think the hammer damage is fine. I don't really think the hammer damage needs to be increased that much, but I would like to see some of the damage bonus traits be increased, mainly to give it some amount of competition to Soul Beast. It doesn't have to be as good as Soul Beast, but personally for me, I want to be able to use Untamed and not touch Soul Beast, because if you know me in person, not the biggest fan of Soul Beast. I would personally, really like to just be able to use Untamed throughout all of the modes, and that's just me personally. Number three is, this might be a little controversial. I want to see some AoE resistance coming to pets in World versus World. So in Zerg's World versus World, pets are fucking awful. And if we are going to be going more focus on pets going into Untamed, I think this would be a very, very nice thing for World versus World, is some amount of resistance to AoEs, because right now they get completely nuked in World versus World. I've been playing a lot of World versus World recently on my Ranger, and most of the time I find myself just being merged because, I'm a big fan of doing the Zerg fights, and I don't really roam around too much. I'm mainly in a Zerg all the time. And as it stands right now, pets are awful in Zerg. So it would be nice to get some sort of amount of AoE damage resistance to pets. This one might be a little controversial, but it would be nice to have Rangers be a bit better in Zerg fights. That would be nice. So, yeah, that would be really, really nice to have, because as it stands right now, Ranger is a phenomenal ranged class. I've killed so many people with the barrage on my longbow. Lots of Zergs and stuff just laying down heat from like castles, on the top of the castle and on top of towers and all that. So yeah, I would like to see some, pet resistance to make them a bit better in World versus World. It doesn't have to be like a damage bonus in World versus World, but I just would like to see that if we're going to focus more on the pets. That'd be kind of nice. Number 4 is something that kind of goes across the Ranger as a whole, just like number 3, which is some pet buffs to underutilized pets. So I'm talking about, like spiders, pigs, devourers, stuff like that, that are just heavily underused in PvE environments, and especially, even in like PvP in World versus World. I would like to see cats become really, really good again. We'll have to see what the white tiger does. Maybe it'll provide some alacrity. Oh, that would be really nice if Rangers finally got access to alacrity. That would be really, really nice. But having that as a pet skill might be a little OP. But yet again, I mean, you could do the same sort of thing on the Renegade. So I don't really know how that would really work out, and especially since it would be around your pet most likely. That might be a little bad, because you might not get it if you're arranged. But we'll have to see like what the white tiger does and the new pets. And another thing that's not related to this is I'm really hoping that we get a pet that's better than the Jacaranda, because I'm so bored of using the Jacaranda at this point. It's the highest damage PvE pet in the entire game. So I'm really hoping that, like the baby siege turtle or the phoenix or something like that is going to be in a better position than the Jacaranda for damage purposes. I really fucking hope so, because I'm really tired of using the Jacaranda, dude. Yeah, I'm just hoping we get some underutilized pet buffs going into End of Dragons, or even, above End of Dragons, even after that when they look at some of the core classes and stuff like that, I think the CMC said. So yeah, some pet buffs would be really, really nice. They don't have to buff pets that are specifically meant for like niche situations like bears and stuff like that. Although that would be kind of nice to have because Jacaranda, there's no point to use a bear when you have the Jacaranda. I mean, it can heal itself. It's got, it's pretty tanky. It's got over 2,000 toughness with the Beast Mastery trait line. It's overall just way better than the bears. So there's really no reason to use bears. So maybe some toughness or health. But oh god, could you imagine the bears having even more health? I don't know, something like that. Maybe get 3,000 toughness on the bears, just like the Rock Gazelle has. I don't really know. Something like that would be kind of nice for the bears. And finishing off the list here is autocast. This is something I talked about in my Untamed feedback video, as well as the pet damage bonus. Is autocast option is very, very necessary, because there are some skills that I want to be off of autocast and some that I want to be on autocast. I don't want the Ranger to turn into a fucking piano spec as it is right now, okay? So let's get autocast in there. I would like to see autocast come, like, for instance, this would be really, really nice for like the eagle or something like that, like the birds. You can have all the skills on autocast besides the swiftness bonus, so that way the pet doesn't randomly apply swiftness, and not be able to attack enemies for like a few seconds or whatever. That annoying shit that's with birds. So yeah, that would be a really nice thing if we had autocast on the pets. Like, give us an option to do that, since we can now manually select our skills. Give us an option to put these skills on autocast. I very much expect this to be a thing going into End of Dragons. This is like one of the biggest feedback pieces people have given, is an autocast option. Like, I remember Muckluck doing a video, and he ended up mentioning it in the video on Untamed, is that we really, really need an autocast option. Because some people, especially for accessibility reasons, cannot manage to do a piano spec, So I would really, really like to see that. That would be a super nice thing. And yeah, that's going to cover the list. That's some buffs that I want to see coming to Untamed, and even just the Ranger as a whole going into End of Dragons and beyond. And yeah, peace.